I didn't victim blame. I realized that's a movie, but I remember what I thought was, wow, because the statistics are something like 2 million, it's in the millions of battered women in America. And I thought, wow, obviously these women did not get married going, yay, he's going to bash me. It's so great. Of course not. Like, maybe a couple do, but the whole millions that's in the stats, I find it very hard to believe. And I used to think, wow, because, you know, as a Christian, I remember as a kid feeling very judgmental about divorce and divorced people because it's all, you know, you don't get divorced. And if I met someone who was divorced, I was almost like, ooh, I don't know how to talk to them. And the underlying what is said is that, you know, oh, well, if they prayed hard enough and if they were really in tune with God, they wouldn't have married the wrong person. They would have heard God's voice. Or, you know, if they really took the time getting to know that person, then they wouldn't have married the wrong person, you know, or somehow it was their fault for marrying the wrong person and they screwed their life up. It couldn't ever be anything else. I didn't think that about battered women, but I remember thinking that, having that understanding of divorce until divorce happened to me the first time around, you know, and I didn't want to get divorced. I didn't want to have a failed marriage. Long story, and my first husband was not abusive. We just didn't have a spark from the beginning, and he there was just no connection, and yeah. And so I got divorced at 28 and we got married at 32. And, you know, so until divorce happened to me, I was very judgy about it. And now I have compassion for those people because I understand it doesn't matter how hard you want your marriage to work if the other person doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't matter how hard you both want it to work if there's just things that are not workable, you know. And so I did everything that I could. I was very much, well, what if I get this book? I bought a couple of books. There was one called, I don't remember what they were called. One had a white cover and a woman sitting on the floor cowering. Hi everyone. Sorry, that just cut between the battery died. So there was mixed expectation. There's expectations from a bunch of people on pray harder, it will get better. You need to pray more. You need to do more of this. Pray more, do better, trust God. And then the flip side of, oh, if you were really being bashed, you'd leave. And that's actually really insulting. Both of them are kind of insulting because one person's saying, oh, like, just keep praying. Like, you're not praying hard enough and that's why this has happened. The other person saying, oh, you're not leaving. That's why this has happened. You know, you leave and people say, oh, you're a quitter. You walked out of your... I had one of my friends, I was like, I've left my husband. Oh, you're a quitter. You're a quitter. You bring shame on marriage. That's not what marriage is. You can't... There's going to be people persecuting whatever decision that you make. And you have to make it the safest way possible. And I kept trying to last as long as I could. Because I'm accountable for my life, and then in the future, if I get into a relationship with somebody, I don't want them questioning, was I a quitter? Did I quit, you know, too early? I wanted to know, I basically wanted to beat the dead horse, you know, that saying. I didn't want to wonder what if I leave now? And then he becomes redeemed. And I just stuck it out this little bit extra. You know, he would talk about his ex in a terrible, terrible way. And I would say to him, that's the mother of your child. I don't care how you feel about her. You cannot talk about her like that. And he would just keep going. And I guess, you know, that was a big, big red flag for sure. So then the next part, I was too exhausted to explain to the counsellor about how he smashes the door of the bathroom or bedroom, just like Jack Nicholson in The Shining, only without the axe. I became very much trapped in trying to figure out which of my friends would be supportive and which friends would not. I was faced with the judgment of some, not all, Christians with pray harder, as long as he hasn't committed adultery you're stuck, and well, the abuse mustn't have been too bad since you chose to stay. He worked for AT&T, and unfortunately my phone plan was with AT&T, and he would actually use his work's equipment, which is illegal, but he would use his work's equipment to track me. You can't sit on me. Hop down. He would use his work's equipment to track me. Where am I on the page? And he was able to use their services even after he stopped working to track me. I reached out to his family. I tried to tell them about the abuse, hoping that they would tell him to stop and that maybe he would listen. It didn't work like that. They decided that I must be some sort of drama queen, just like his ex-wife. In fact, what I even found was that in some support groups on the internet, victim blaming goes on. Victim blaming keeps women stuck in violent relationships. Victim blaming is what keeps rape culture alive. Victim blaming is what makes the friends of yours who are being battered not tell you, because they don't trust you to be kind to them. The statistics are that 1 in 3 women are abused by their partners. If you have 1,000 Facebook friends, that means that 333 have been abused by a partner at some time. And maybe 100 of them are being abused right now. And how many of them have told you? You know, maybe it's your victim blaming, victim shaming attitude that prevents them from telling you. Because I can tell you right now, if any of my friends were going through something like this, I wouldn't just be saying, just leave, it's so easy. It's not easy. It's not easy. You know, if I went to a shelter, the shelters said that I couldn't take my cats. I couldn't take my equipment. Okay, well, without my equipment, how am I going to work? I use 3 computers every day. Plus other equipment. Like, how am I going to do that in a shelter with women that I don't know? With people I don't know? You don't have a whole room to yourself. You're in a dorm. I can't earn a living if I'm there. You know, and you can't, what do you do? Not do. Okay, so people would go, oh, so don't run your business. And then get sued because I'm not doing my client's work, you know? So it may surprise you that the main source of compassion I received was his ex-wife. She was one person who understood everything I had to say and was willing to listen without judgment. I stopped going to church because I didn't see the point if I was just going to get blamed and not get any compassion or just a friend to listen for the sake of listening. I stopped going to my Bible study because it became obvious that I was in the too hard basket. Being self-employed means you don't work, you don't eat. For every hour paid with a client, there are another 20 hours of processing the work, doing the work, emails, and chasing new clients. It became very hard to work. We lived in an apartment complex that required a key to get out of the pedestrian gate. It was easy for him to take my keys, take my wallet, take my passport, take my documents. It's very easy to destroy somebody's life with very little effort. Apparently his family were trying to convince him to leave me around April last year. I really wish that they'd succeeded. I have dozens upon dozens of amazing friends in San Diego, but we made the move to Vegas, which at the time was a huge mistake. I knew nobody. I had money I could have used to escape from him if I could have physically gotten away from him. However, every time I tried, he would stop me physically with violence or prevent me getting access to any of my documents, the things I needed to make a living. So he would yell at me, I effing hate you, pack a bag and get out. I'd run, I'd grab a suitcase, I would be throwing things into it, I would run for the door. He would stand at the door, he would grab my suitcase, a big 50-pound suitcase, he would throw it at me. I'd be crying, help, help, hoping someone in the complex would help me. And he would tell me, if the police come, I will make sure you get arrested. If I get arrested, you are getting arrested. I was terrified. In San Diego, all of the women's battered shelters were full, and the ones in Vegas I had no way of getting myself to. I called the big shelters. I called Safe Nest. I called Shade Tree. They told me I had to get myself to them and then get assessed to see whether I could get a bed. I said, I can't get out of the bedroom. I called the police victims advocates lady. I said, I don't know what to do. I'm afraid of calling the police because he says he will tell them that I've done stuff that I haven't done to get me arrested. I'm terrified. Here's my wallet. I can't get out of the bedroom. I got her voicemail, unfortunately. She called me back like the next day, I think, but that doesn't help you when you're in it. You know, there needs to be shelters that will come and rescue women, and there's not. You know, I didn't have anybody to come and rescue me at all. The risks in me leaving were too high. If he smashed my equipment, insurance wouldn't cover it. And then my business would have been destroyed for life. He could have killed my cats. I don't care if you're one of those people who says, oh, well, they're cats. My cats are the only family I have, and when everyone in the world turns their back, my cats would not. He could have destroyed my passport, my green card, all of my Irish citizenship papers and my Australian documents, and those things cost thousands to replace, literally. People say, oh, it's only money. Honestly, I know you're not meant to wish bad on other people, but I do wish that those people could be put in an abusive situation like I was, so that they would swallow the hateful things that they say. Actions have consequences, and if he destroyed my documents, my equipment, I would more than likely be living on the streets, unable to make a living or do anything in any country. He stole my identity. He hacked into my bank accounts, stole credit cards numbers, stole replacement credit cards out of the mail to steal the rest of my life savings and gambled it away. His family and friends tried to accuse me of lying until I showed them the tax forms that arrived in the mail showing that he put over $300,000 through just 2 casino gaming machines. Not 2 machines, the machines from 2 casinos. Let alone other casinos he went to. People are too quick to tell you what they would do, but when you tell them why their plan wouldn't work, they refuse to listen and accuse you of making excuses. My immigration attorney was better than any counselor. She constantly reminded me to document everything. I created a secret group on Facebook where I could update everyone and post details of abusive incidents and bruises, photos of bruises, and those friends helped me to remind me every day that my life was not normal. And that's the other thing. Just going to pull that down. That's the other thing that happens is you end up so conditioned to just, well, I can't do that. I might get hit. I can't do that. He might cut up my ID. I can't do that. He might take my passport. You're a foreigner living in another country. You are screwed without a passport. You're not getting home. You're not getting anywhere. You're not proving who you are. And Vegas doesn't have an embassy. The nearest embassy is Los Angeles, 4.5 hours drive at the best of times. And that was probably two of the most important functions of the Facebook group. One was that other people were able to save everything. Because if I put stuff on the secret group, somebody would be online. Somebody would be able to save it and back it up. Whereas if I was texting one person, was that person busy at the time? I understand now that victim blaming comes from one place. If you blame me for the abuse I received, or if you blame a rape victim for wearing a miniskirt and dancing too much, somehow you're creating a belief in your own mind that it won't happen to you because you don't behave like that, and things like that don't happen by chance. If you believe victims are at fault, then you can believe it doesn't just happen at random, and you can go about your day not worrying that it could happen to you. Even now, well-meaning church people tell me, oh, I'm sure you stayed for selfish reasons. You would have been getting something out of it. How about the fact that when I would talk about leaving or think about leaving, you know, I was reminded, not just by other people, by myself as well. I know what the Bible says. You know, and unfortunately the Bible doesn't talk about every topic. The Bible says, Jesus said in Matthew 19, you know, in the Old Testament, men would divorce their wife for any reason, because they didn't like her cooking, because she had a mole that they didn't like, whatever, they would get divorced, and Moses allowed them a certificate of divorce. And then the woman, if her family wouldn't be financially responsible for her, she was like destitute. Am I in focus? So Jesus said in the gospel in Matthew 19 that any man who divorces his wife for anything other than adultery commits adultery by marrying another. So That's one factor. Then in Corinthians, it talks about if someone is not a believer of the faith or a practicer of the faith and they walk out of a marriage, let them go, and the believer is not bound. So that is two cases. It doesn't talk about what if you're married to a believer and they beat you and they make your life not worth living, because I would pray, like, God, take me out of this. God, end my life. I don't want to be here. I can't be here. I can't do another day. And people didn't understand that I couldn't just get up and walk out. Like, what am I going to do? Sit on the street and panhandle? That's like, people don't think. Hi everyone. So I got a phone call and a couple of friends, a friend in Atlanta and a friend in San Fran, who just saw the show. So had a chat and little booby had a chat and coming back. So I've had a look at the comments. I don't remember where I was about reading my status to you guys, but having a look at the comments. Some of the comments are, oh, she's just seeking attention. Oh, she hasn't. And I heard it all from his family. I said to them, please, will you say something to him? Maybe if you just tell him that hitting women is not okay, maybe he'll stop. Maybe if you tell them that I've told you everything, maybe he'll stop. Maybe if you confront him. You know, there's a saying that the devil has power in what's done in secret. You know, so I honestly thought that would stop him, like if somebody confronted him, but it didn't. His family completely enabled him. Let's talk about why women don't call the police. Let's talk about a lot of that. So first, we were living in California, and the first, you know, in Australia you can call the police and they will come out and de-escalate the situation, whereas no one's getting arrested. Like, I could call the police, hey, my husband's beating me. They would come out. They would make sure he wasn't anymore. I don't know if they walked in on him being physical, if they would physically restrain him or what would go on. But they would make sure there was no violence before they left. They would not press charges unless someone wanted them to, unless I said, hey, please press charges. California, apparently, if the police are called by a neighbor because someone's yelling, then you can go to jail. So the first bruise was here to here. It was huge. That was the one from when he was driving super fast. So in the time in 2015 when I was waiting for my work permit, I couldn't work. Moving had already cost me over $30,000. Now, I don't know about the people watching it, but that kind of money took me my adult lifetime to save. I'm 35, and you know, that was pretty much my life savings, most of my life savings from when I was 18 years old. So, you know, I just had to wait for my work permit. And so when I would go and try and call the police, he'd say, if you call the police, they'll arrest me, I'll lose my job, you'll be homeless and you'll be sleeping on the streets and your cats will go to animal control and then you'll end up deported, all this stuff. And I was terrified. I was like, why can't I just call the police and then make him stop being abusive? And that's not how the California police work. I think the California police are a lot better than the Las Vegas police. There was an incident that a friend of mine out of state, now I talk about these friends on Facebook, California, I had a lot of friends in the state, but most of my girlfriends live with their parents, so going and moving in with them was not an option. I reached out to my church friends, and it was almost, you know, it was like when you say, hey, I need help, and they're all like, oh, hey, don't ask me. Like I said, I didn't even ask for help. I just said to this group of Bible study women that I was a part of, I said, this is what's going on. I messaged them one night. I'd ran out of the apartment. No shoes, no wallet, nothing, just my phone. And I called a shelter and they said, we don't have any availability. And I messaged. And I can't express what kind of, like, how much despair you feel when you call a shelter and you're told, everybody wants to tell you the answers. But you try and apply these answers, none of them work. I called the shelter. Yeah, we're full. We're full. We're full. The California shelters were full. The Vegas shelters told me you have to get yourself here. I'm like, he's taken my wallet. I'm trapped in the bedroom. I need help. I need someone to come get me. Well, I'm sorry, we don't offer that service. I didn't have friends in Vegas. I called a few people I knew, or sorry, I didn't call. I messaged from the bedroom a few people I knew, and I said, hey, is there any way that you could look after my cats for a little bit? Like, I don't know if I need to sleep in the street or what I need to do. And they were like, no, really sorry, can't help you. And like, my cats are my babies. I can't, you know, I wouldn't have wanted to live if he'd killed them or if he'd just let them go missing. And I don't care if you're one of these people who's like, oh, well, the abuse must not be that bad if you care about your cat more. I'm whatever. You're never going to be a person I can convince of anything.